Hey guys, what's going on? Happy Friday morning, getting ready for the weekend. It's snowing out here. We're about to get hit with about 10 inches of snow or something like that. So just want to get on here and talk about 3 things that the Yankees should do differently this offseason. I notice it's not a lot of the stuff is repetitive, but there are certain things that they did not do or they just were big mistakes last offseason they need to avoid this year that I think are important. And, I want to get into that a little bit. So, by the way, if it's your first time, welcome. If you're a baseball fan and you want to be kept in the loop on everything, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you want to see all the videos that I put out already, take a look at the description, hit the bell icon. But especially if you want to be kept in the loop when this lockout ends and all the breaking news afterward, this is a great place to find it. So with that, let's start the starting rotation. And I've said this for like 1,000 times that the Yankees need to bring in 2 starters. And I'll give them credit, they did that last year. But the difference is they brought in 2 starters who had already not pitched for almost 2 years prior to that. So those are huge question marks, huge risks, right? And both of them got hurt. And one of them is already hurt next year. So after Corey Kluber took a while to kind of get into his groove, and then he threw a no-hitter, and then after that he missed half the season, and there was barely a role player when he came back. So, and Jameson Taillon came here, and when he got on a roll, he was good. I give it to him. He was really good, but then he's hurt, and he had to have ankle surgery. Ankle surgery, and he's not going to be here until maybe May or June. So I'm still of the opinion that they need to trade for a starter and sign a starter. But guys that have pitched, that's the difference. Guys that have pitched that haven't missed a year or two or whatnot. Because we already had guys with that problem. We had Luis Severino who's missed almost 2 years. Now he's coming back, and some people are expecting him to be thrown right into rotation. I think it's a terrible idea. I think he should be one of the long relief guys. And then if he builds enough strength and endurance to be put into rotation, then I would do that. But I would not throw him to the wolves immediately. I think it would be a foolish idea. Okay? And, another guy we traded for who's been hurt for a while is Aaron Hicks. It turned out well. For a little while, he was a solid player, and then the Yankees signed him to this 7-year, $70 million deal, and he wanted to turn into a Barry Bonds-type player. Got hurt, and now he's kind of trying to resurrect himself in winter ball, but he's not going to be the answer moving forward. He didn't play very well in winter ball, so that's another issue. But this is what happens when you bring in injury-prone guys. So, for me, and I've said the Yankees trading for Luis Castillo, even though it's going to cost them money, would be a good idea. And if you can add Amir Garrett to it, would be a good idea because you're adding a strong bullpen arm, and would be a wise idea. Because you bring in a bullpen arm like that, and then bring in a starter like Castillo, you're giving the rotation more protection of guys that can actually throw innings, which will not tax the bullpen as much. So long term. Because that was used that way too much last year. The Yankees went these stopgap route, and they had these, or started a bullpen guy, and then used 7 or 8 pitchers in a game, and they did it far too many times. And you need more guys you need to utilize more guys like Michael King and Nestor Cortez and Luis Severino. I would have them as the 3 long relief guys. And then if Cortez, who's got 4 more years of control here before he's a free agent, builds up enough endurance, he can go back into the rotation. The same thing goes with Severino. I mean, those are 3 guys you can use in a whole game. Instead of using 7 or 8 guys, you got 3 guys, and you save 4 or 5 guys. It's just my opinion, but and the Yankees did dodge a bullet by not signing Justin Verlander. So because coming off Tommy John, and even though he looked good, there's no guarantee he's going to be on the money again. And they offered him $25 million for 1 year. They could use that for 2 or 3 other guys. So they dodged a bullet there. But 2 starting pitchers who have pitched. I know some concerns about Carlos Rodon, but I would still get him and another starting rotation guy. So him and Luis Castillo will be very nice, but we'll see what they do. That's number 1. Number 2 is decide on shortstop now. I know they have a deep pipeline of shortstop prospects, and they just added with Roderick Arias, and they have Anthony Volpe and Oswald Peraza and Oswaldo Cabrera. But the good thing about them is they can play multiple positions. Okay, so even if you bring in a guy, let's just say they bring in Carlos Correa, they go nuts, right? And when Anthony Volpe's ready, you can either move him to third or move him to second. So one of the problems they had last year is Gleyber Torres didn't move to second base until mid-September. Okay? And when he was playing terribly or whatnot, he sat here, sat down. He had some injury issues last year too. COVID and getting hurt and blah, blah. So they had and guys like Andrew Velasquez and Tyler Wade. They're all gone. But in the playoff, the wild card game, Andrew Velasquez was their starting shortstop. That's a problem. I like Velasquez, but that's a problem. Okay, so either go get this long-term guy like Correa or Story, whoever you get, and and then if they might have to move Oswald Peraza in the trade, or go with him and just decide on him and stick him there if he's not moved in a trade with Oakland or somebody else. So, but you got to decide now. Last year was kind of was a crapshoot. It turned into a waste, having guys play out of position. So, let's not make that mistake now. And again, decide on, Volpe too. Like, personally, me, I think he'd be a better fit at third base or second base. And let's just say they sign Correa, right? They get Correa, and then you bring Volpe at second base, when he's ready. You could play Oswald Peraza at second base and move Gleyber Torres if they want in a trade for pitching or somebody like that, or in a blockbuster with Oakland, whatever. They could move him. He still has a lot of value. Okay, it's just a thought. And then you have DJ, can be the super utility guy, and you have Gio at third base if he's not moved. So there's a lot of options they could do, but now's the time to decide what they're going to do at shortstop instead of having to go through this exercise again next year and then offseason again next, the next one. Huge mistake. Okay, and lastly is dude, spend. Okay, spend in the offseason, spend at the deadline. Yeah, they spent last year, but again, they brought in a guy, and they brought in, they brought in Gallo and they brought in Anthony Rizzo. Fine, that's good, but they didn't bring in another starting pitcher. Andrew Heaney wasn't a starting pitcher. Like, come on. I know they brought him in, but that was, you're gonna have to be more aggressive than that, Hal and Cashman. So again, Luis Castillo, in my opinion, would be a perfect fit here. Carlos Rodon would be a good fit here as well, and those are the guys I'd be going after as soon as this lockout ends. There could be other guys too. But again, if you can swing a deal for Castillo and Amir Garrett, that would be a fantastic move here. Fantastic move. Especially, and you have the flexibility to move a reliever too, like a Chad Green who's got one more year left, to a team like the Padres to get some prospect. You have the ability to do that. And I think Johnny Lasagna is ready to step into Chapman's role. So you have the flexibility to move Chapman too, if somebody's willing to pay. So they have the flexibility to do that. And if you bring in a guy like Garrett, it gives them even more depth to move guys like those guys. So. But don't be afraid to make the moves. And I know Hal wanted to get under the threshold and blah, blah, blah. But, they could have brought in the pitcher and stayed under the threshold. And then whatever this new threshold would be, they could have gone under it this year. And they could have had guys under years of control or whatever it was. But even over the threshold, the penalties the Yankees have to pay are a mere fraction of what the money they make. They're swimming in profits. So, can't be afraid to be aggressive, man. And this is, spend at the deadline. Get the guys that you need. You're the Yankees, man. Spend in the offseason. After this lockout's over, you get the guys that you need. You're the Yankees. And this is the opportunity. This is the offseason to do it. This is the deepest free agent class in years. It's going to be not as deep for the next several years, okay? You have a lot of young stud guys, but a lot of them are not going to be moved, okay? They're going to be locked up by their teams, just like the Yankees should be doing too, okay? And again, take advantage of the years. You brought in Cole here to be an ace. Surround him with some guys, okay? Decide on Aaron Judge. Okay, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but they got to decide now. Don't wait for the season and then try to re-sign him next offseason when someone else could blow him away and the Yankees just lose out. They give him a qualifying offer and get that. Extend the guy now. If he says no, trade him. I've said that a million times too. But these are the three things right now the Yankees need to do differently this offseason. So, and again, with the payroll going down by almost $100 million over the next 4 or 5 years, now's the time to do it. What do you guys think? Let's get into this.